The House of the Dragon trailer dropped yesterday, and I don't know if you all are like me, but I literally have just been ecstatic. My brain has been tingling with all the possibilities for this new Game of Thrones series. Now, in this video in particular, I want to focus on some things from the trailer that you may or may not have missed. Before I jump into any of that, please do me a massive favor and slap a like on this video. Like goal is going to be 42069. Also, make sure you're subscribed and turn those notifications on, as I'll keep you entertained throughout the long night. I mean, that is my job after all. Here's your sign. Alright, now first things first, I saw a bunch of people, well not a bunch of people, there's always like a small minority that have like, people that agree with him and they'll re-like and retweet whatever the hell they say on Twitter. Basically, people were saying they didn't like the side profile of Rhaenyra. I didn't even know that was a thing. Are you really complaining about the bone structure of an actress on the TV show? Or are you just saying you don't like the way she looks from the side? Either way, both of those reasons are insanely retarded. Alright, so continuing on here. This is actually, I thought it was just a cool looking, old school style Targaryen headdress. But when you do a little bit of research, you can look up something called a kokoshnik, which is actually a Russian headdress. And in particular, a traditional Russian headdress worn by women and girls to accompany the sarafan, which is basically a rectangular style dress. It's not rectangular, but more trapezoidal. It's a jumper dress worn by girls and women, forming part of the Russian traditional costume. So basically, when Rhaenyra is wearing this, it's actually super in canon with not just the Game of Thrones TV show, but also the books. Rhaenyra wears this in one of the depicted images of her, but also we have several images of not just Cersei wearing a style of kokoshnik tiara, but also Sansa. Sansa wears them early on. Rhaenyra's appear to be a lot more elaborate, and we gotta remember, the Targaryens, and pretty much everyone associated with them, Rhaenyra is literally the princess of Dragonstone at this time. They have power. They also have money. They're going to look like the Game of Thrones characters on crack as when it comes in terms of like exquisiteness and actuality of what these costumes probably looked like in their real life history counterpart. Since we're talking about headdress, can any of the people who didn't like the wigs when we saw the leaked pictures, can you be honest and say that they look fucking amazing now? We're supposed to see them in these images, in this video, in this trailer. We weren't supposed to see them before in those long zoomed in shots, and everything kind of looks shitty and seriously degraded when you're looking at something from that far away. Now the next thing that I wanted to mention is maybe not necessarily something that everyone missed from the trailers. We all saw Daemon in his armor fighting an attorney. He's most likely fighting Kristen Cole. As one of my commenters pointed out, that the person that Daemon is facing off in this scene is actually holding a Morning Star. There's only one particular moment from the books that I can think of where Daemon is fighting an attorney against someone with the Morning Star who ends up taking Dark Sister out of his hand with that Morning Star. That's that infamous duel between Daemon and Kristen Cole. Daemon is highly embarrassed after this, and it's definitely a blow to his reputation. But one of the things that you may not have noticed about it is that Daemon's armor is extremely book accurate. Now, there's an artist known as Anon, and they do some of the best interpretations of Targaryens. They were officially licensed by George and the people who work on, A Song of Ice and Firework. But basically, this image of Daeron Targaryen, this image of Daemon from the books, a couple of these artist renditions, this is what Dragon Targaryen armor is supposed to look like. It's plate, it channels Daemon and who he is, because sometimes, certain Targaryens are described as having like gold glittened armor. Well, Daemon is the rogue prince. His armor is black. He is on the blacks. It just makes sense that his armor looks like this. It literally embodies the spirit of Daemon. I'm super excited to see this. You all let me know if you thought the armor would look any different down below in the comment section. And then now lastly, and this one's pretty major, Alicent is carrying the cat's paw dagger. I did see one of my commenters mention that, hey, that may not be the cat's paw dagger, it's a different color. Targaryens, basically like insinuating that Targaryens could have different styles of daggers that were similar to the cat's paw dagger. My opinion is, I've been doing this for a while. The only reason why they show us something like this in the trailer is because it is the cat's paw dagger. We're going to realize that the cat's paw dagger is not just responsible for killing the Night King. It's also responsible for starting the War of the Five Kings. Remember, the cat's paw dagger was used in an assassination attempt to kill Bran. This is what really riled things up in the, War for the Five Kings, in the main storyline of Game of Thrones. And then also, in this series, that dagger is most likely going to be Viserys, who is one of Rhaenyra's younger children. And there's a certain moment in particular, Aemon ends up being caught by his 3-year-old nephew, Prince Joffrey, for trying to steal Vhagar. Aemon tries to keep him quiet. He ends up slapping the little boy who's like 3 years old, Prince Joffrey, and then he threatens him like, yo, you better shut the fuck up. And then he ends up pushing him into a pile of dragon shit. It's crazy. Like, these are young children, so it's not really funny, but that scene is going to be insane to watch. But basically, Joffrey begins to yell, but it doesn't matter because Aemon is still successful on climbing and mounting Vhagar. And he basically steals Vhagar from the Velaryons. And Aemon is able to fly Vhagar 2 times around before landing. And then when he does land, obviously Joffrey had signaled to his older brothers, hey, come and check out what this little asshole's doing. Please help me. He threw me in dragon shit. And then obviously they fight off. And then with training swords, Aemon ends up calls his nephews Strongs, Rhaenyra's children, and Jacaerys, who's old enough to understand what this means, ends up attacking Aemon. And then Aemon, ends up getting the upper hand. He starts to beat Jacaerys savagely, and this is where Lucerys draws the confirmed from the trailer Catspaw dagger and slashes at Aemon's face. He takes out his right eye. Now it's interesting because this event alone doesn't necessarily start the war, but it begins the seeds for a rivalry. Actually, no, it's not true. The seeds for the rivalry happens, in the infamous Greens versus the Blacks, where Alicent wears a green dress, Rhaenyra wears a red one. But the enmity, the hate between the two women, Alicent and Rhaenyra, is passed on to their children. But this event is what really plants the seeds for them to hate each other much later. In one of the first events that 100% kicks off the war, ties directly back to this. So obviously afterwards, Alicent is going to want some retribution. Her son's missing an eye, and none of Rhaenyra's children are seriously hurt. So she says, hey, Lucerys should lose his eye for penance because, my son Aemon lost his eye. Obviously, King Viserys refused that. So this kind of makes it seem like even more that he's backing Rhaenyra as his claim, Princess of Dragonstone. He wants her to succeed him. And this sort of signifies that even more because you got to remember that even after King Viserys and Aemma Arryn, Rhaenyra's parents, are unable to successfully produce a male heir, when she dies and King Viserys remarries Alicent, they have multiple male heirs. And Viserys never goes back on his words and makes them Prince of Dragonstone. So this is why Alicent acts quickly after he dies and names her son Aegon, Aegon number 2, right? So it's crazy. Now, obviously, the insinuation of the strong plot is a strong quote unquote possibility, but we really need to just wait and see how they're gonna take this. Like there's a clear shot of Rhaenyra dueling with some of his lovers, and if that quarrel is the one I'm thinking of, this could actually be something that leads into the events of his death. You all let me know what you think down below. I think one thing this trailer does successfully, hands down, no argument, is get me hype as shit for House of the Dragon. And if you all like what I do here, you want to, sort of help my channel out, just please do me a massive favor and slap a like on this video, as the like goal is going to be 42069. And really, to be honest, that's the only way to sort of get my videos non-ignored from the YouTube algorithm, is if you slap a like on them and then leave me a comment down below. What it does basically is, like, even if my videos don't get as many views, it still has engagement. So it shows YouTube that you guys are watching my videos, you are commenting, you are chatting below. But all that aside, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntReviews. And I want to thank you all again so much for watching. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Defender of the Long Night, or the Wait for House of the Dragon Season 1 Reviews. And actually, you know what? This is like a little treat for those of you all who are still listening. This audio is only coming out of one ear. That's how special this is. But listen, after rewatch, I see that dagger is actually held by King Viserys. When he tightens his hand around Blackfyre, you can see that it's attached to his hip. If that's the case, then maybe he ends up not only giving, the realm to Rhaenyra, but he also gives some of his closer possessions. Maybe this dagger is then in turn taken from Lucerys and given back to Viserys. I don't know. You all let me know what you think down below in the comment section.